Information shared on the following program is for general information purposes only. It does not constitute legal, tax, investment, or other advice, nor is it intended to recommend any particular investments, products, or financial instruments. Always seek advice from your financial advisor, attorney, or accountant with regard to investment, legal, or tax questions.
Well, looky here. Not only does the United Auto Workers want employers to offer something called a defined benefit plan, it appears that IBM is doing just that for their employees, which is all well and good for the employees of IBM, but what about you?
Welcome to the only show in the country dedicated to helping savers worry less about money, the Worry-Free Retirement, with your host, nationally recognized retirement specialist and six-time author and fiduciary, Tony Walker.
Ever since the first ships loaded with precious cargo crossed the Atlantic, the insurance industry has been in the business of protecting consumers and businesses from loss. Much like the concept of protecting precious cargo on the 7 seas, today insurance companies protect us from the loss of cars, homes, health, and yes, even protect loved ones from the financial loss because of a family member who dies. To say insurance companies are in a most unique position of providing protection on a whole host of issues would be an understatement. You see, unlike Wall Street, which is more interested in growing money with little thought to protecting it as it grows, insurance companies are more interested in protection than they are at taking risk with the money and trying to make it grow. And since this show is geared towards securing one's retirement, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the one thing insurance companies provide that Wall Street cannot, that one product that can guarantee you won't run out of money. That's right, it's called an annuity. And although the sale of annuities in 2022 and 2023 was the highest ever, still, the mere mention of the word annuity creates in the minds of many advisors and consumers a desire to avoid annuities at all costs, which is why today we are changing the name of this age-old financial product from annuity to a new name, a name that savers have been wanting and craving for years, a name that will forevermore put annuities into the more favorable light. You ready? Well, let's get started. Well, welcome folks to the Worry-Free Retirement. And yes, I am that little man in the sweater vest, name-changing specialist and fiduciary, Tony Walker. And before we share with you the new name that annuities will go by starting today and from this day forward, let me introduce to you the names in the Worry-Free studios who put this show on every week. America's favorite financial sidekick, Mr. Aaron Orander, along with Louisville, Kentucky's most laid-back graphics artist, Mr. Derek Hudson. Okay, before we share with you the new name I will be applying to annuities, what's up with this headline? Employees such as IBM now are going back to offering their employees something my granddad enjoyed, something that for years was put on the shelf and replaced by the infamous 401k, an investment strategy that takes all the risk off the table for the employee and puts it right back on the employer. It's called a defined benefit plan, or more commonly referred to as a pension. My granddad, he referred to these pensions as mailbox money. What's so cool about pensions is this. Once you start drawing income from a pension, that pension is guaranteed to last as long as you do. Yes, even if you live past 100 years of age. So why are savers clamoring for the old days of guaranteed lifetime income afforded to them by these pensions? Well, because they're tired of watching their retirement accounts go up and down like a yo-yo and worried about running out of money. So even if companies start offering pensions to their employees, that probably does you little to no good, seeing as though you're probably already retired or nearing retirement, because a pension is not something that can provide mailbox money, at least not right away. No, for a traditional pension to pay off, the employee must wait 20, 30, or even 40 years to receive it. So what is a saver to do who's already retired or nearing retirement? Is there a way they can turn that 401k, an inheritance, sale of property or business into what I call mailbox money? Well, there is, and it's called an annuity, but seeing as though we're changing the name today, we're now talking about something called a private pension plan. So stay tuned. I'm Tony Walker. You're going to learn more about this. We'll be right back.
And now it's time for the adventures of Stella, the Black Russian Terrier. You've been watching The Adventures of Stella, the Black Russian Terrier.
Did you realize that if you have more than $250,000 in retirement assets, the government could tax as much as 40% of it when you go to take it out? And with current tax rates set to expire in 2025, the taxes you will owe on your 401k could climb even higher. Don't wait until 2025 to see how much Uncle Sam will take of your money. Get a game plan by logging on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. That's TonyWalkerFinancial.com. One of the more interesting things to occur in 2022 was not the Fed raising interest rates, nor the disastrous losses savers incurred as a result of following something called the 60-40 rule. It wasn't even the financial strain and uncertainty when over 3 million people turned age 65. No. The most interesting revelation to hit the financial world in 2022 was revealed by research from LIMRA showing a dramatic increase in the sale of fixed interest and fixed indexed annuities, a product that for years has taken a beating by Wall Street and others who, for various reasons, tend to hate these products known as annuities, which is why today, given the fact that Tony Walker Financial loves annuities and has over 3,000 saver clients who love them as well, I've officially changed the name of these products from annuities to, drumroll please, that's right, mailbox money. Funny, a little man in a sweater vest is not the only person to change the name of a product to change the misperception of it. There are many examples of this where big financial companies and big institutions have changed their brand and their name so that the public might look more favorable upon them. Take Philip Morris and Facebook, just to name a few. Mentioned in this study back to LIMRA on the growing popularity of fixed annuities is the huge losses in 2022 because of the 60-40 rule. Losses similar in nature but not quite as horrific as 2008 when the stock market collapsed and millions of savers ran for cover trying to find these products called fixed annuities. Speaking of the atrocious year of 2008, I remember back then how much Wall Street warned of annuities while we were preaching the safety and security of them. I know our clients in 2008 didn't lose a penny and we're sure glad that we had those annuities in place. And speaking of the 60-40 rule and the average amount of money adults have invested in the stock market, I met a person who asked me the other day to review their 401k statement to see exactly whether this 60-40 rule, actually in their case, it was the 40-60 rule, I'll explain in a minute, why she was not making any more money and trying to figure out exactly how much money she had. So let's take a look at this. This is an actual 401k statement. We've obviously left off the names of the custodians. And of special note, notice the statement came out in 2019, all right? And it goes through 2023. The original balance of 2019 was $300,000. And of note here, in 2021, it went up to almost $400,000. Evidence, of course, that in the stock market, you can make a ton of money very quickly. But as the old saying goes, what goes up also sometimes must go down, as we saw her values plummet in 2022, and then they've kind of leveled off to 2023. So at first glance, you might say, well, Tony, this looks pretty good. $300,000, I've got $350,000 after 4 or 5 years. What's the big deal? Well, remember, in this example, she was putting in $10,000 per year. That was her contribution into the 401k. By the way, folks, we talked earlier about a defined benefit plan. A pension is a defined benefit plan, meaning in the future you have a guaranteed amount of money. A 401k is actually called a defined contribution plan, meaning these are defined. The problem is your benefit in the future is not, and that's a big problem. So if you really add up all of this over the next 4 years, what you find out is she hasn't made any money in 4 years, plus as she's getting ready to retire next year, she's faced with this prospect of where she was, 60% in bonds, 40% in stocks, and this possibly continuing to go up and down like a yo-yo as she's trying to predict and guarantee some sort of guaranteed income. Pretty scary stuff. So why are so many people now turning to annuities, a product which for years got the shaft, but now appears to be one of the more popular financial tools in retirement? Well, there's basically three reasons for the popularity of mailbox money. Let's talk about that. First of all, insurance companies are backing these products called annuities. These are the same companies that back your home, car, life, health. They have large amounts of reserves, and they are set up to protect money. And in this case, they're there to protect your principal and to make sure you don't run out of money. So insurance companies over the years have proved to be a wonderful way of protecting assets for now and in the future. Number two, annuities are contracts. They're not investments. Now, the problem with a contract is if you're going to sell an annuity, you better understand what that contract says. It's a legal document, and I think that's one of the reasons a lot of advisors don't sell them. They're either too lazy to read the contract or they just literally do not understand how these products work. So annuities are contracts. They're technically not investments, and those contracts are backed by the insurance companies. Number three, that's our mailbox money. So what happens is you have an insurance company that's well-grounded, is regulated very much closely by the insurance regulators, has plenty of cash on hand to meet their obligations. Now you have a contract in force, so you know exactly what that defined benefit or that private pension amount is going to be in the future. And now we can change the name of annuities to what we call
mailbox money.
Again, folks, insurance companies offering contractual guarantees through annuities are the only institution that can provide mailbox money. So if you're looking for guaranteed income you can never outlive, this is the only place to turn. So if you want to find out more about the truth of annuities and how mailbox money works, maybe even this idea of setting up your own personal private pension plan through Tony Walker Financial, do this right now. Log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. You're going to click on that Let's Get Started button. We'll arrange a free phone call to see if we can be of help, and if we can, we're going to meet with you in person at either our Bowling Green, Louisville, or Lexington, Kentucky offices. TonyWalkerFinancial.com, or simply call the toll-free number on your screen. All right, now we're going to go over two different types of mailbox money and help you understand which types you can get for this private pension plan through Tony Walker Financial and how you can start worrying less about your retirement. Let me get the whiteboard out. We'll be right back. Wondering how annuity peddlers can offer bonuses of up to 15 or even 20% on your money? Well, as the old saying goes, if it sounds too good to be true, there's always a catch. Here's my thoughts. Don't get stuck in the wrong annuity. Get a free second opinion from one of the leading writers of annuities in the country, Tony Walker Financial. To get started, simply log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com or call 877-499-WALK. Welcome back to the Worry-Free Retirement Hour. Tony in the Trenches is a good one. This comes from Ron out of Louisville, Kentucky, who says the following. Tony, I'm one of those types who likes to keep things simple, but I've been hearing a lot about trusts. Is a trust something I need, or are there more simple things I should be concerned with my beneficiaries so they can easily take over my assets when I die? Well, it's a very good question. And while everyone's situation is different, for sure, here are the main documents that I feel every saver should consider. Again, this is consider. We're not attorneys here. But what I've seen over the years are the best documents to consider putting in place so that things will be handled very easily and very quickly upon one's death. The first thing is a simple will, something we call a sweetheart will. And the sweetheart will basically says, in my case, I'm married. Everything goes to my wife, Susan. She's my sweetheart. Everything goes to me. If she dies first, and when we both pass away, everything goes to our 3 kids. Now, interesting, you could set up within the sweetheart will a living trust, one that could be set up during your lifetime or becomes what's called testamentary and is established at your death. Let me explain. So like right now, I have several grandchildren. I would like to set up a fund that would be established upon my death that would cover all of their educational expenses, both as youngsters with private school or going into college. Well, it's not going to take effect now. It takes effect when I die. Whereas a living trust is where I would take assets and actually transfer them to the trust now, mainly to avoid issues with dealing with probate. Now again, in most cases, living trusts do not actually save anything on taxes. They're there for privacy purposes and to avoid probate. The next type of trust, and we're seeing this more and more, these are called irrevocable trusts. We used these back in the 80s when I used to do estate planning, back when you could only pass $600,000 without falling into estate taxes. But now we're using these more and more where attorneys are putting assets into what's called an irrevocable trust, meaning once the asset goes in there, you cannot change the status of the trust. Now, why are people doing this? Well, if you live more than 5 years from the date of transfer into such a trust, there's a good possibility that nursing homes won't take the asset away from you should you go in a nursing home. Another type of a document is called a durable power of attorney, which will allow another trusted person, usually a family member, to act on your financial behalf when you are unable to do so. Now, be very careful as to who you appoint as the person granted to have this power. In fact, you might even wish to have two different individuals who are there to make financial decisions just in case somebody kind of goes off the rails with this stuff. It's very, very important that you have people you can trust, and you might want to have more than one person that's acting as your durable power of attorney. Next, if you have a 401k, IRA, annuity, or life insurance, remember to keep those beneficiaries up to date even if you change the will. In fact, years ago when I used to study under well-known CPA Ed Slott, he told of a story of a gentleman who had $1 million IRA, was married at the time and had his present wife as the beneficiary, but went through a divorce. Now, little did he know when he remarried and changed his will that the IRA was not changed. In other words, the beneficiary was still his ex-wife. Well, when he died, guess who got the money? That's right, the ex-wife, because the beneficiary of the IRA trumped the will. So be sure you keep those beneficiaries up to date. It's very, very important to do that. Okay, in our time remaining, I promised you I would share with you two types of mailbox money out there. I'm going to go to the whiteboard and talk about this. And again, we're now calling this the private pension plan offered by Tony Walker Financial. We've been doing these for years. And again, just to summarize, if you're just now joining us, more and more companies are starting to think about going back and offering pensions, something that hasn't been done in years. In fact, IBM is no longer going to contribute to the 401k, but set up pensions for their employees. The problem is, if you're retired or nearing retirement, these don't help you. What we're going to do at Tony Walker Financial is show you how we can take existing assets and create that mailbox money so you can establish your own personal private pension plan. And here's how this would work. You basically have two options, okay? This is called an immediate annuity. And again, folks, if you want a private pension plan with mailbox money, remember, only annuities can provide this. No other asset can guarantee an income for the rest of your life or a set period of time. So you could do an immediate annuity. It's really interesting. A gentleman just came in to see me this morning before we recorded the show. This article, he said, "Hey, Tony, what's this deal here where I can put $300,000 into a single premium immediate annuity? What's that all about?" Well, that's what we're talking about. This would be a private pension that would be paid for your life, for a period certain, or you could have a survivor option, but you cannot change this, okay? And in most cases, at death, there's zero left. So this would be an example. This particular gentleman was single. He's in his late 70s. He has a long life expectancy. He just wants principal and interest, but he wants it guaranteed for the rest of his life. He is actually a pretty good candidate for an immediate annuity. But what if you might want to change your mind down the road, or you're not sure when you want to start the income? That's called a deferred annuity. Deferred annuity. And these are relatively new. They're called income riders. Now, a deferred annuity with an income rider is a little different. It's for you and your spouse, okay? Those are the only two parties that can receive this guaranteed income for life. Now, the advantage, you can start it whenever you want, but once you start it, you could also stop the income, and whatever principal is left in there, if any, okay, could go to you. You could decide to take the principal back out, stop the income payment, or you could leave it to beneficiaries at your death. So this one actually is much more flexible, but in certain cases, you may want to consider the immediate annuity. So the only way to know which annuity is going to be right for you is dealing with a trained retirement specialist such as Tony Walker Financial. Folks, I've written over 3,000 annuities totaling over $600 million over the last 20 years. I know these products very well, and the worst thing you can do is get stuck in the wrong annuity. So if you're looking to safeguard more of your money, if you're wanting to develop that personal private pension plan that we offer at Tony Walker Financial, do this. Log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. That's TonyWalkerFinancial.com, or simply call the toll-free number on your screen, and we'd be happy to talk to you about your specific situation. Well, does the Bible have anything to say about changing one's name? It sure does, but this particular name is never going to change, and it's the name above all others. Let me get a cup of coffee. I'll be right back.
Our employee spotlight shines brightly today on Beth Wisman, and as we record the show, you're brand new to Tony Walker Financial. So what I'd like you to do, without naming company names, but tell the folks a little bit about your background in this industry.
Okay, so prior to coming to Tony Walker, I managed the annuity operations and new accounts department at another brokerage firm. And so I come here with that knowledge.
And we're so excited to have you because of the explosive growth in the annuity department, but also the onboarding process where people come on. So we just got through with our staff retreat here. Kind of explain to people what your new role will be here at Tony Walker Financial.
So my role will be to onboard new clients, and I will be reaching out to them to gather all the additional information that we need to make sure we have all the data in the system, as well as statements to make sure we have what we need to issue paperwork.
And we look so forward to having you on board, and thank you for joining Tony Walker Financial. Hopefully we have many years to come where we're working together. So thank you, Beth.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Wondering how much money you'll need to retire? Probably a lot less than you think. I'm retirement specialist Tony Walker, and for the past 36 years, I've helped thousands of savers determine when to retire and how much money they'll need in retirement, and I can help you too. To meet in person at no cost or obligation, let me invite you to log on right now to TonyWalkerFinancial.com or call the toll-free number on your screen. We look forward to talking with you soon. Have you recently retired, been laid off, or offered a pension buyout? Has the company you work for moved, been acquired, or closed its doors forever? And finally, do you have a 401k with a previous employer you'd like to move to safer territory? Then take advantage of this opportunity to move your 401k or lump sum pension to Tony Walker Financial. Let's meet in person to discuss your retirement options. Log on now to TonyWalkerFinancial.com to schedule your free, no obligation appointment. Let us help you today. Our show topic today focuses on a financial concept that's been around for more than 100 years, one that provides a guaranteed income you can never outlive, called an annuity. And while the name annuity strikes fear, trepidation, and angst among many in the financial world, it wouldn't if we could just change the name of annuity to, say, something else that we presented earlier, like the word mailbox money, or something I now refer to as a private pension plan. Seeing as though running out of money in retirement is the greatest fear of savers, and annuities are the only product that can keep that from happening, why is it that this name annuity is so misunderstood? Probably the same reason the word Christian is misunderstood as well. The name gets tossed around so much and from so many different definitions, you would think the Bible would have a lot to say about this word Christian, but in fact, it does not. The word Christian is only mentioned in the Bible 3 times, 2 times in the book of Acts and 1 in 1 Peter. Notice that Acts 4:13 even speaks to the idea of the men who had been with Jesus and the change that was noted in them and the boldness with which they had spoken after being with Jesus. Men Jesus chose to be with who were unschooled in law and religion, but as a result, being with the Son of Man, now well-schooled in the change that took place because of them following Jesus Christ. You see, to be a follower of Jesus Christ has nothing to do with a religion, but more of a change of heart as to who you and I will now follow. And while certainly there are a vast number of wonderful Christian religions who go by different names, at the heart of all of their teaching is a name above all name, Jesus Christ. this misunderstanding of who and what the name Christian means to others was at forefront in my life when from 1993 through 2004, I oversaw the finding of speakers for our community prayer breakfast. One of the speakers was a cross-carrying Christian by the name of Keith Wheeler. Mr. Wheeler tells the story of one of his walks with his cross through a small village in a remote area of Africa when people would approach him on occasion to ask what he was doing and who he was. His typical response was, "I'm a Christian," with most of the villagers walking off unimpressed. Well, on this day, instead of introducing himself as a Christian, Mr. Wheeler simply said to the person that came up to him, "I'm a follower of Jesus Christ." To Mr. Wheeler's surprise, the villagers responded, "Tell me about this man, Jesus." Powerful, isn't it, that by merely changing the conversation from following a religion to a life of following a man, you get people's attention. Moral to the story, while all religions that include the name of Jesus are a part of modern term Christian faith, let us never forget that it's not religion that saves us, but the one in whom our religion follows. The one name who is solely the object of our faith, truly, a name that is above all names, and that is found in Acts 4:12. It's a name that you and I can confidently take to the bank. Amen? Well, speaking of trusting in a name to carry on, I've got a question regarding the money you have targeted towards this thing called retirement and who you're going to follow to be worry-free with it. Well, if you don't feel like you currently have a name you can trust with your money, a name that has currently over 3,000 clients to our name, a name that prides itself on exceptional service and a very good working knowledge of what we call mailbox money, I would like to invite you right now to do something very personal. It's called the free 10-minute fiduciary phone call, and here's how easy it is to find out more about the services of Tony Walker Financial. You just log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. You're going to click on that Let's Get Started button, and we'll arrange a phone call with myself and you to talk about your situation. And then if it warrants, we will be happy to meet with you in person. That's right, in person at either our Bowling Green, Louisville, or Lexington, Kentucky offices. So do it now. Log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com or simply call the toll-free number on your screen. Well, we hope you've enjoyed today's program. We've enjoyed being with you, but you remember, between now and next week, if all else fails, you be worry-free and make it a good one.